Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Clutter Boss, your weekly decluttering advice show. I am Jess Marcy. I'm your clutter boss for today, and I'm so excited to be back here for another incredible Ask a Clutter Boss show. So last week we had 6 questions submitted. This week we have 2, but they're 2 really good questions. I actually think every question is a really good question. So as usual, they are great questions. If you have questions that you would like answered live, please feel free to drop them into the comments. And if you're here live, say hello. If you're watching on replay, give us a hashtag replay so we can come back and say hello to you later on. I hope everyone is enjoying your July so far. It is a hot and steamy one in upstate New York. Not good. The weather is not great, but it's summertime and that's to be expected. Hello, Denise. So nice to see you. All right. Without further ado, let me dive into question number 1, which is on this screen over here, which is why you'll see me turning my head. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the show. Okay. Any help on why I have such a difficult time on the drop zone? I can't seem to complete that task. The drop zone. Let's talk about drop zones. What is a drop zone? A drop zone is a naturally occurring event inside of your home. It is a spot where you tend to drop things instead of putting them away. As a general rule, I think drop zones are okay. The problem, and I have to credit this little statement to somebody in Clutter Boss Academy way back, an OG, way back in the beginning. Somebody said to me on a coaching call, my drop zones are all stay zones. And that has stuck with me and become a sort of clutter boss ism. Don't let a drop zone become a stay zone. Drop zones are fine. It is totally normal to walk into your house and just put stuff down or have mail and kind of sort it, whatever. The problem really is when a drop zone becomes a stay zone. And another little ism that we use is that clutter attracts clutter. So if a drop zone becomes a stay zone, so the stuff stays there, it doesn't get put away, it is clutter. Clutter is anything in your house that doesn't have its own home. So and isn't put away in its home. Clutter is stuff where it doesn't belong. Oftentimes in my clients' homes, there's many surfaces that are drop zones. The whole kitchen is a drop zone. There's floors that are drop zones. So drop zones are very overwhelming because at the beginning of this process, they're really just piles of clutter everywhere. As you go through the process, your drop zones become more clear. You'll see stuff accumulate in the same spot every day, but then you take care of it on a regular basis. So one of the kind of bigger failings, I think, in the entire professional organizing industry is that we as professional organizers don't teach clients how to maintain the spaces they have decluttered. If you don't maintain your space, it gets recluttered and you're back where you started. So when we say don't let a drop zone become a stay zone, that is really talking to the maintenance that is required in your house to keep your surfaces clear and not let the clutter accumulate, to the levels that it has accumulated in before. So here's how it works. If everything is a drop zone, we're going to pick one single spot and clear that spot. Say it's the island in your kitchen. You're going to clear the kitchen island. Even if this takes you a couple of days or a week, you're going to get one drop zone clear. And then before you do anything else, and this is that key part, this is the maintenance. This is what prevents clutter from building up again in the future. Before moving on to the next drop zone, you are going to maintain the drop zone that you have cleared first. So if you cleared your kitchen counter or your island, let's say you have it all clear, you go to bed that night. The next morning, you wake up, you go about your business, stuff starts to accumulate on the kitchen island again because that's a major drop zone. That is okay. You can, instead of putting stuff there, put it away. That's part of maintenance. But what you're going to do the next day before anything else is you're going to clear that island again. You're going to put that stuff away. You're going to not let that drop zone become a stay zone. And once that island is clear, then you can move on to the next spot. And then the next day, you're going to wake up, or before you go to bed, whenever you're doing your kind of cleaning and decluttering, you're going to start with the island. You're going to maintain that space. Do not let that drop zone become a stay zone. Every day, you are going to start by maintaining what you have already done. And you may say, and I have heard this before, but wait, Jess, that means I'm never going to get to anything else in my house. That is not true. You are going to get to other stuff in your house, but you are going to create clear spaces that are easy to maintain and then move on. You're going to focus on what you have already done. So it does not, you're not stuck in this circular loop of having to declutter over and over and over and over again. You're going to maintain what you have done. And the cool thing about drop zones is they actually get easier with time. With proper maintenance, drop zones become super, super easy. So the first time you clear that kitchen island, it could take you like 4 days to clear the island, right? Like a long time. The next time you clear that kitchen island, it's going to take you a couple of minutes. That's it. You're just putting stuff away. And every subsequent time that you clear up that kitchen island, it takes less and less time because you're naturally now putting stuff away without putting it down. You're staying on top of it. So it's just when you stay on top of it, it's so much easier. Where you can kind of get stuck is if you don't have a spot to put the things. So say you have a drop zone, it's your kitchen island, and there's just a wide assortment of things on there: papers, toiletries, groceries, all these things. You go to put stuff away, but stuff doesn't have a home. So then you kind of get stuck. You can go to put something away, it doesn't have a home, so you don't put it away. Just keep a little running record, a list of the spots that don't have homes, the things that are hard to put away. Tackle those next. And in the meantime, keep the drop zone clear. If you have toiletries, but you can't really get them into the bathroom cabinet where they need to go, put them into the bathroom. Get the stuff close to where its home is or should be. We're not going for perfection here. There's no way you can declutter and maintain an entire home in a quick amount of time. That's just not possible. It's probably taken decades for the clutter to accumulate to where it is right now. It's not realistic to think that in 1 week you're going to have everything cleared and put away. That's just not realistic. But what you're going to do is you're going to start in a very kind of systemic fashion, going through your drop zones, picking up stuff, putting them close to where they belong, and then when you see it's always hard to put papers away. Okay, it is time to tackle papers, at least round one, right? Or it is time to tackle toiletries, or it is time to tackle clothing. If you can't put it away, that can be next on your list to do. But the first thing always is to maintain the spaces that have been done. So maintenance comes first. And that is how your house never gets to the point where it is when you started, right? You are maintaining. So you do your kitchen island, next day, clear that. Maybe you go to work on another small drawer or whatever it is. The following day, you go back to the island, you go back to the drawer, you just open it up, make sure nothing has gotten out of place. It takes a second, but it makes a huge difference. Maintain what you have done first before moving on. Don't let a drop zone become a stay zone. Moving forward, already there's stay zones. Now we're changing that. If you need to put a little sign up, a little sticky note, don't let a drop zone become a stay zone. Another area where people get stuck with drop zones is that the stuff in the drop zone is not their stuff. So maybe your husband's stuff is all over this drop zone and he doesn't really care. It's just not bothering him. It's bothering you. You're going to take that stuff. We never throw out anyone else's stuff unless it is obvious trash, right? But in general, we do not declutter other people's stuff. That is not right. If somebody threw out your stuff, you would be pissed. It might be triggering. It might bring up an old traumatic event. We don't throw out other people's stuff, but we can put it together in a little location and bring it to a certain area where their stuff lives. And if you have a significant other who has a tendency to just always put stuff in a drop zone and doesn't really care about it, just keep kind of putting it together in one spot. Maybe you have a basket on the counter that's their basket. Just keep putting it away. And here's the thing, eventually, they will go through that basket. Eventually, they will get better at not putting stuff down. Eventually. But everyone's on a different timeline. This is bothering you right now. And you're the one, you're fixing it for you, for you. So focus on what you can control. What can you control? And focus on how it's going to make your life easier. And let go of the resentment that is keeping you stuck in a negative emotional pattern with your significant other. Yes, it is so frustrating when people don't put their stuff away, but lead by example. Start by putting yourself first. Focus on you. So the biggest problem with resentment, I was just talking about this with a one-on-one client, is that when we're resentful, we're often totally valid. It's our feelings are valid and justifiable. Like we're right. We are right. We are right in our thoughts. Like other people should pick up after themselves. Absolutely. We're right. But being right is not helping you. So, and sitting in resentment is not helping you. Taking action is definitely the thing that starts to move the emotions and change the entire dynamic. You take action for you first. Be right, but don't sit in resentment because it's keeping you stuck. Okay, hello. There's so many people here. Hi, good morning, everyone. Elena, Susan, Catherine. Hello, Terry and Debbie and Brenda. Hi, hi, hi. So nice to see everyone here. Oh my gosh, yes. In relation to drop zones that eventually become stay zones. Denise is saying something, but Denise, your start of a comment here made me think with relationships, your drop zones can become stay zones also. And that's really tricky when you get into a relationship pattern, especially related to your clutter, that becomes stuck. It becomes stuck. Somebody's got to give. And for the good of your mental health, let it be you first. Let it be you first and take the high road, clear the stuff, do it for you, not to spite somebody else. Hey, from Las Vegas, Melanie. Hello. All right. So that was question number 1, a long answer to a short question, but there's a lot of depth to this. Just remember, when it comes to stay zones, maintain or drop zones, maintain what you have done first before moving on. Always. Maintenance comes first. Okay. The next question here. I find myself thinking about going through and sorting school stuff and pictures from the past, knowing that the past was not all roses. How do I go through them when I get sad and I can't get out of bed just thinking about going through them? This is a really good question. Sentimental items, memorabilia, can have a lot of emotions attached to them, positive, negative. They can be a symbol of a traumatic event. They can be a symbol of grief in your life. They can be positive and negative. Here's the thing. If your sentimental items, even the idea of going through them is keeping you from getting out of bed, then there are 2 things that can help this. Number 1 is time, giving it time. There's no reason to go through this stuff right now when it's triggering such a strong response. And number 2 is support, time and support. If you have items in your house, sentimental items, memorabilia, something that the thought of it is triggering what looks like a depressive episode, that just says to me that there's probably a deeper level of processing that needs to be done with the support of a trained professional. And there's no shame in that. I think, I've had this situation in the past where people have said to me they have sentimental items and they have a negative memory of them, but then they say something like, but it wasn't anything traumatic, or it was, no big deal, or, you put some qualifiers around this that make it seem like your memory and the feelings that you have about this memory are, less than. The truth is, grief, trauma, negative past events, It doesn't matter how they look on the outside to other people. This is about you. If that episode, whatever it was significant enough that when you're thinking about the related documentation to it, you can't get out of bed, that means that you deserve to get support around that. Whether or not other people would say that it's a traumatic event or it's a whatever. It leave other people out of this. You need support moving on from this. Get that support, find that support. There's so many online therapists now that you can services that you can use. There's you can ask for references, you can talk to your doctor, but get support for that. And remember, the timeline to go through your sentimental items is your timeline. There's probably plenty of other stuff that you can declutter first. I mean, usually there's way more other stuff that you can declutter first. With those really triggering sentimental things, what I would do is put them into a storage location where they're going to stay safe, right? They're not going to be subjected to moisture or rodents or something like that, where you know where they are. And when you decide that you've had enough support, you have enough support, enough time has gone by, you can open up that box, pick out the first piece of paper, and decide if you're really ready to go through these items or not. It's your timeline. There's no, I mean, occasionally there are external forces that make it so you have to go through stuff a little bit faster. Like if you lose a spouse and you have to move or something like that, and you have to go through your stuff quickly, get support immediately for that, because the support makes all the difference. The support makes all the difference. But two things: when you're struggling with sentimental items, time and support. As time passes, things do get easier to go through. And either way, you deserve to have proper support processing whatever those events that were not so great in your past were. You deserve this. We're all individuals. That's right, Denise. To compare is to despair. So I would say, yeah, don't go through anything that is so triggering that it triggers depressive episodes. Just move on to something else. Give yourself, your mind and your body the time and support it needs to, I hate the word heal. I mean, because it's kind of one of those like cliche words, but to process to the point where you're able to process the stuff. So that would be my answer on that one. All right, I'm going back into the comments here. If there's any questions, we only had 2 questions, but then we did kind of talk for a long time. So I can talk for a long time. If there's more questions, pop them into the comments. I'm going to just go back and see if I missed anything. And problem with things that don't have space in their home. Yeah, when you're tackling a drop zone, if things don't have space in their home, then that's an area that you have to declutter. And it's probably a lot of your houses in that would qualify as that. And it's just a matter of just going through it one thing at a time, maintaining what you have done, and then moving forward. And the little like hint here is the more you declutter the first time, the easier this whole process is. But it can be hard to declutter a lot in your first round. So usually it takes multiple rounds of going through. But the more and the faster you can declutter stuff, the easier decluttering and getting to that peaceful, organized home becomes. But I know it's not that easy. So, if you can push yourself a little bit, be ruthless, it will help. Let's see. Okay, good. Glad we answered that one. I really struggle with asking for help with accountability these days. Any suggestions? So here's a thought. If you're struggling asking for help with accountability, I think sometimes we just have to get out of our own way. I can tell you that personally, I can do almost nothing without a lot of accountability. People seem surprised to find out that I am not naturally internally motivated. External motivation is so helpful for me. And I've found over the years different ways to get accountability. Sometimes I ask a close friend. Sometimes I ask my business partner. Sometimes I hire an accountability coach or somebody in a coaching role who I can be accountable to. And I see also working with my one-on-one clients how strong just having somebody check in with you a couple of times a day makes a huge difference. Sometimes we just need to invest in ourselves with a coach or something like that because it really moves the needle. It really propels you forward. Um, Anytime you can get into the habit of investing in yourself through a service instead of investing in yourself through a purchase of an item, I think you're moving the needle forward. When you buy stuff, sometimes it does make our lives easier, but most stuff is not really necessary to make our lives easier. What we really need as humans is connection, support. We need each other. And if we have to pay for an accountability coach, or if we have to get out of our own way and ask a friend or family member to please help me be accountable, that's what we have to do. So I would just say ask for help, reach out, find, even if it feels difficult or uncomfortable, try it and see what happens. I bet you will have a more positive experience than you anticipate. Um, I have been cleaning out our bedroom this summer and I feel like I'm stuck because of the things that don't belong in the bedroom. Yes, just move them out of the bedroom. Get them to the spaces where they do belong, even if you can't actually put them away. You have to get one space done, right? You have to push yourself through this. You have to, even if something doesn't have a home, get it as close to its home as possible. And then you can move on to that next space and clear out whatever is there so that you can create a home. But keeping everything commingled is that's going to keep you cluttered. So you have to just kind of push push yourself to put things as close to possible to where they belong, or declutter them. It's another great option. Donate trash. See if you can just remove them entirely from your house. That's another big win. Um, okay, I don't have local in-person support. Are you We have the internet and amazing support online. This is the best thing about the internet and social media. There's a lot of bad things about the internet and social media, but one of the best things is that we can connect to people who are outside of our local area. So I'm not sure what your name is, but look online for that support. It doesn't have to be somebody local. It doesn't even have to be somebody that you know. It can just be you find a group. Um, I think there's actually accountability Facebook groups where you can just post for accountability. There's a group and a coach for everything. You just have to kind of start searching them out. I'm struggling getting motivation and getting things done after we've been gone for vacation. Yes. Join the club, Brenda. Um, so the best thing to do before you go on vacation is have a re-entry plan. This is something that Gretchen Rubin, who's an author, talks about in her book Better Than Before. I love this, a re-entry plan. Go on vacation, but have a commitment with a friend to start doing the thing that you were doing before when you come back. So if you were going to an exercise class, you loved it, you go on vacation, it's very hard to start that up again. So before you leave, commit with somebody else, have that external accountability to show up for that class. Now, if you've gone on vacation and you didn't do that, well, this is what you do for next time. But right now, again, Brenda, post into the Facebook group and say, I need accountability. I need to, I need some help and support. Or set a timer on your phone. Don't we can't rely on motivation, right? All the time. So instead, take action, whether or not the motivation is there. Stand up right now, set your timer for 5 minutes, and tackle the closest pile. Action brings back motivation. So ask for accountability, tell people you're struggling, get their advice, but in the meantime, start taking some very short bouts of action, and that will start to bring back that motivation. I have so many old papers in random boxes, old bills, articles I've saved. Why is it so hard for me to throw out old articles about random topics I'm interested in? Any suggestions? Yeah, I think that's part of our identity. We We're interested in things. We want to have all the information so we can make the best decisions. We thought we would do X, Y, and Z. We thought we would sit and read, and then we didn't sit and read. So now we're kind of grieving the loss of what we didn't do. There's a lot of reasons why it might be hard to go through this stuff, but you still can do it. You still can move through these items and just find the easy ones to let go of. You don't have to let go of everything right now. But I would also really encourage you to be super realistic about what you are doing with your time and what you want to be doing with your time and what you would do if you needed this information. So, if you're not somebody who sits and reads these articles, which I would say probably most people are not, that's okay. That's okay. It's also okay to be the person who thinks they're going to sit and read these articles, but you don't need to hang on to the articles to prove that you're that person, right? Like you can let them go. And if you're more likely to go to the internet and look up the information, in fact, a lot of these articles, if you just type in the title of the article, you'll find the article online. Just knowing that the information is always there whenever you need it. And when you need it, you're going to have easy access to that information, can help you start to let go of things. Just be realistic. Um, if you're not going to read them, you don't need to keep them. And that is totally okay. So you thought you were going to do this. Instead, this is what happened. All right. Turns out I was wrong about what I was going to do. I'm going to let this go, not dwell in that past, and just let these items go. Knowing in the future, if I start to see myself saving articles, whatever, I'm going to say, you don't need to do that. The information is available when you need it. Um, I need to clean out other rooms that these misplaced items belong to. Catherine, I see you have question part A and question part B. Let me know if I've answered your question there. Yeah, and this is a good point too. Somebody in the comments says, I get really exhausted after vacations. I need at least a few days to recover. I totally agree with that. I think you need a vacation from your vacation when you come home. Traveling, and I mean, vacation in general can be great. It can be mixed. It can be exhausting. It can be exciting. It can be all of the things. Recovering from your vacation after you come home, giving yourself a little bit of space to breathe and get back into your routine is not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. I try, and when I go on vacation, I try to make sure I come home on a Friday or Saturday. So at least I have 1 or 2 days of recovery before going back into quote unquote real life. But yeah, just you got this, Brenda. All right. We have been talking now for almost a half an hour. I'm going to go ahead and end this show. If you have questions for next week, please let me know. Thank you so much for showing up, being here. Maria, thank you. Thank you for showing up and being here. If the information resonated with you, the best thing that you can do to support this small business is to like, share, and comment on our content. It means so much. It is the equivalent of leaving a tip or something like that. Like, comment, and share, especially. It helps us out, and it helps other people get this information as well. So thank you for doing that. I look forward to seeing all y'all next week. Same time, same place. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye for now.